Okay, my battery died, but ending on number 6, just making sure you understand 30x and 15y cannot be combined, okay? So that's your answer. Let's move on to number 7. You have 9. Okay, this is also a distributive property problem, but just because it has 3 terms doesn't change anything, okay? You're just going to have to take that 9 and distribute it to every term within the parentheses. So let's begin off with 9 times 3x is going to give you 27x. 9 times 5 is going to give you 45. 9 times x is going to give you 9x. Okay, so we have gotten rid of the parentheses, but your next step is you need to combine like terms. Like terms, once again, are terms or numbers that end in the same with the same variable. So go ahead and circle your like terms. 27x is a like term with 9x. 45 is a whole number, so it doesn't have a like term, but if there was like a 7 or an 8, that would be a like term for another whole number. Make sure you understand that combining like terms just means that you're adding those two terms together. So we have 27x and 9x. That's going to give you 36x. With this 45, just go ahead and bring it down, and you have plus 45. And that should be your answer. If you need to write this down, just ask Mr. Chris to press pause, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to number 8. Okay, for number 8, you have 1/3. Sorry, you have 1/3 9x plus 12 plus 4x plus 6. Okay, this is also a distributive property problem, but it's just half of the problem. You're going to do distributive property. The other half is going to be combining like terms. But before you can combine like terms, you need to get rid of any parentheses. So we have 1/3, and since this is a fraction, we're going to go ahead and turn this 9x into a fraction, because we have to do that 1/3 times 9x, then the 1/3 times 12, okay? So you have to go ahead and get rid of the fraction as well as the parentheses. Okay, so we have 1/3 times 9. Go ahead and place a 1 underneath that 9, because anytime you're trying to turn a whole number into a fraction, you have to place a 1 in the denominator. Remember to multiply straight across when you have fractions, okay? So 1 times 9 gives you 9. 3 times 1 gives you 3. Always simplify, you're going to get 3. Alright, the only thing is that your answer is not just 3. You should be bringing down that x and making sure you don't forget it. So always make sure that you look back to see if that if that number has an x or a variable or any letter attached to it, and bring it down. So next part is 1/3 times 12. Turn it into a fraction by placing a 1 underneath it, and then multiply straight across. You're going to do 1 times 12 equals 12. 3 times 1 equals 3. And you're going to simplify that and get 4. Go back and check to see if there's a variable attached to that. There is no variable, so your answer is just 4. Now keep in mind, this is not your final answer. We're just getting rid of the parentheses right now. So we did all this distributive property. The parentheses is done. And let's go ahead and plug this in. So we have 3x plus 4. Don't forget the rest of the problem, plus 4x plus 6. Now that we have all these terms and no parentheses, you can go ahead and combine like terms. So we have 3x and 4x. Those are like terms because they end in the same, with the same letter. But they both end with x. Then you have 4, and 6 that are like terms because they're just whole numbers. I tend to like to circle my like terms. So if I have one pair of like terms, I'm going to circle them, and then if I have another pair, I'm going to box them so I know which ones are going with which ones are going with each other. I do recommend you do that only because you're going to get into these equations that are way longer than this, and you want to make sure you're not getting confused. All right, so we have 3x and 4x is going to combine to give us 7x. Remember, combining just means to add. Then we have 4 and 6 are going to combine to give us 10. And that should be your final answer. You cannot add these together. This ends with an x, this ends with nothing. So your answer is 7x plus 10. Okay, number 9. We have x plus 2x. And the question states, complete the following so it is equivalent to 5x. So meaning equivalent or equal to, so we want to set this equal to 5x. That was our key word, equivalent, equal to 5x. So remember that even though this x doesn't have a number in front of it, we know that this x always has a given 1. Any variable that has no number in front of it, it has a given 1. So this is going to be 1x plus 2x equals 5x. So you have 1x plus 2x gives us 3x. This is really simple because you know 3 plus what equals 5. You should have gotten 3x plus 2x equals 5x. So your answer should have been 2x.